Skyblock is old. It's literally been 4 years since the game mode was released. So in this video, I'll be going down memory lane and show you guys how Skyblock has changed for the better or for the worse. Until June 2021, the damage calculation was a bit different. Your strength would actually buff the base weapon damage as well, making strength much more valuable compared to crit damage. Back in the day, let's say you had 700 strength and crit damage. With an unenchanted livid dagger without any external buffs, you would be able to deal over 50k damage. But after the strength nerf, the damage fell by almost 40% to around 30k. Now this doesn't tell you the whole story, because these values are for absolute mid-game players. Let's say we choose actual late-game values. Like let's say someone has 1600 strength and crit damage. Without any extra damage buffs, they'd be able to deal 332,000 damage per hit. But after the nerf, their damage dropped to 147,000. Now as you can see, this heavily nerfed melee. Also aiming was nerfed during this time, meaning both melee and archer were nerfed and mage became the new best class, cause Hyperion. Now there was one more thing this change kinda nerfed. Foraging, cause all foraging gives at the moment is foraging fortune that literally no one cares about, and 86 strength. So unless you want to grind for hours to get a minor statting,
the prophecy is true.
Just grind it until you reach level 28. Until April 2022, you could add different reforges to talismans depending on your class, and maybe even combine certain reforges to maximize your damage. There was even a Discord bot called SPS Optimizer that would give you the reforges you needed to maximize your damage. But on April 20th, 2022, everything changed. The admins decided to remove reforging talismans entirely and replaced it with a very unique joke.
OMG, how do you pronounce this? I am so quirky, for real.
While reforging was a method that involved basic maths, thaumaturgy was just buy stone, make reforge, use reforge, and you're done. Also, the update had a small change. Melee players were nerfed, but mage was buffed again, because you could gain more mana and ability damage. Now that's cool and all, but was this update necessary? Well, yes. Before the update, each talisman added would give you a substantial amount of damage. Back then, the damage scaling was more like a straight line. Now this prevented the admins from adding new talismans, because too many talismans would cause the game to be really unbalanced.
And we at Hypixel Skyblock have balancing as our top priority.
Now cause of this, the admins had only one option: add a talisman system that didn't have a straight line graph. And their solution was thaumaturgy. It was a simple concept. Talismans would give magical power, and the magical power would become a factor on how effective different thaumaturgies were. And as you can see, unlike the previous reforging system, this version has diminishing returns, meaning the admins were able to add a bunch of more talismans. And after the patch, a total of 77 new talismans have been added. So good change, I guess.
Back in my day, people had to actually work for money. You had to farm zealots, then sell their eyes, or fight dragons. But kids these days, all they do is break glass or sell plants for a living.
Now there are a bunch of money making methods, but they either die if more than 2 people start grinding it, or have a really high skill ceiling. So these days there are only 2 stable money making methods, meaning no matter how much the economy changes, they will still make the same amount of coins, because their coins per hour depends on the NPC sell value, which doesn't change for the most part. Now for early game players, the best way to make coins is to unlock the garden and start farming. If you want more information, I'll link some guides related to this in the description. And once you made some coins from farming, you can actually start making the big bucks by selling crystals, and not the bad kind. Now if you want to learn more about mining, I'll link some vids. But how it basically works is get Heart of the Mountain 7 by completing some tasks, then get a bunch of powder by following guides, then make over 30 mil per hour by breaking back a glass. Back in the day, snow and clay minions absolutely dominated all the others. But these days we have the bazaar, and optimizing your minion for the bazaar sale value is where the real bucks lie. These days the meta minion is any minion or minion upgrade that came out recently or was buffed. But if you want a stable income source, you can always use a tier 11 tarantula minion. The only issue being you need 200 million coins for one tarantula minion. So a casual 6 billion coin minion setup, but it will pay itself off in about 2 years. There's also the Rev Minion Golden Dragon upgrade thing, but I don't know if it's still relevant. Back in the day, Fairy Souls gave you a massive boost, and I mean massive. It literally would take a few hours to grab all of them, and you'd get permanent plus 500 HP and plus 48 strength and defense. Now they were nerfed sadly on September 2022, and they now give Skyblock XP, 480 Skyblock XP to be exact. Now this greatly nerfed the stats for a bunch of players, but just like the talisman nerf, this was absolutely necessary, as each new area would bring in new Fairy Souls, and more Fairy Souls equals to more non-skipping, and more Fairy Souls equals to more stats. So it could have caused problems in the long run. Also, Fairy Souls now help you unlock new backpack slots. Yay! Now let's talk about the meta, and not the bad kind. Back in the day, the meta was usually superior dragon armor and the aspect of the dragons with a dragon pet. So for around 100 million coins, you'd probably have an endgame setup. But now the meta goes like this. First, you need 15-star Infernal Aurora armor for mage outside of dungeons, so around 10 bill. Then you need 15-star Infernal Crimson armor for melee outside of dungeons. So if you have a net worth of over 100 billion coins, excluding your dungeon setup, you can call yourself mid. Before April 2022, we used to have the Blazing Fortress, where nobody wanted to go to, because there was literally nothing. But on April 20th, the Blazing Fortress was replaced by the Crimson Isles. And nowadays, there's so much stuff that if you have over 10 people in a single lobby, you can experience Australia. But basically, they added the Crimson Isles on April 2022, and it was packed to the brim with content, like 5 new mini-bosses, 2 new factions, fishing, Blaze Slayer, and the Kudra boss. It also included a bunch of money-making methods. The only issue being, most of the content apart from Blaze Slayer is just mage. Ignoring the mage thing and lag, it was a good update. Dante the Dictator was vanquished into the Shadow Realm a few years ago, but he came back. You can actually fight against the new version of Dante called Bakte, cause you know he's Bakte. Now unlike the actual Dante boss fight, this one is a bit different. The ping is much better, unless your ISP sells Wi-Fi directly from McDonald's. But basically the final Bakte phase is exactly like the Dante boss fight. Also a fun fact, the /kill Bakte command has been used over 9,000 times. So that says a lot about our society. You guys remember Project Mayhem, right? The penguin guy that told you to wait for 3 to 5 business days? Well yeah, they finished it, and it's really cool. I mean, new bosses, a new slayer, new puzzles, and so much more. Haha, I was talking about the Rift. An actually fun update. Project Mayhem was cancelled because Skyblock is pay to win now. It was originally supposed to be a snowball fight arena. So this is 100 times, no 1,000 times better. I mean, just look at this exhilarating gameplay. You guys know Timdeo, right? He uploads sometimes. I lied, he doesn't. I lied again. He has literally uploaded 3 times in the entire year. And considering it's Timdeo, that's a lot. But they were on the second channel, meaning it's been 2 years since he discovered Hypixel's craziest exploit with a Shutterstock watermark. But yeah, he's an admin now, so the number of dupes and stuff have gone down. So thank you, Timdeo.